here in Tucson, Arizona, talking with the guys in BRUISED MACHINE. And they have a new release, a new CD. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to talk about their backgrounds, what they've done in music, and we're going to get started with the leader of the band, Bruce MENCHEN, right here. Bruce, who were your early musical influences?
There's a lot. I think for the most part, I was into like the 80s metal scene. I did a lot of stuff, writing music when I was younger. Started playing guitar when I was 11, and at that time it was more like Kiss, and I listened to a lot of Kiss and Randy Rhoads, Ozzy Osbourne,
Yes.
Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, all of that. So that's pretty much where my influence is built from, was that.
Well, would you say that a lot of you guys were into 80s metal?
Yes.
Yes.
So everybody but this youngest one here. Okay. Paul, now you were influenced by who?
My influences were like Metallica, Guns N' Roses, of course like Iron Maiden, Megadeth. Those were all my influences.
Oh, okay. Okay, Steve, what bands have you been in before?
I was in Redeemer, DTS, Jeremiah 1, Fates Union, and now BRUISED MACHINE.
Oh, wow. So you guys are really just getting started with this band, right? This is a brand new band.
Yes.
And this is your first release right here. And I noticed that it's from a place that I used to hang out a lot in. It's put out by Tate Publishing and Enterprises in Mustang, Oklahoma. I know about that place a lot. I spent a lot of time in that town. Dave, you grew up in the 80s metal scene. What is your musical background?
Wow, I was probably about 14, 15 years old when I started getting into the metal. I grew up on, Kiss. I was a big Def Leppard fan. By the time I was in junior high, I got into STRYPER, and I listened to a lot of, Poison, Warrant. First concert was Motley Crue. So, I grew up on stuff like that, and when I was in my late teens, I got into the heavier stuff like Pantera, Metallica, stuff like that.
Bruce, I know that you've done a lot of recording. You've also done a lot of producing of your own music. Tell us what bands you've been in the past.
I was in Redeemer with Bill MENCHEN. We started Rev 7 together. I had my own band back in the 80s, DTS. We had a lot of different experiences with that, and we toured, the LA scene, nightclubs and stuff, and we did a lot of different shows, played a lot of parks, and it was really exciting. And then also, I worked with Bill on Final Acts, Titanic. Did a lot of recording. I did some bass work also, so with Bill.
I've heard that you do a mean Michael Sweet impression too. Is that true?
Some have said.
You were in a talent contest where you were accused of sounding too much like Michael, weren't you?
I have been, I can do it, yes, but...
Don't be shy. Okay, Paul, now, not trying to put you on the spot, but we want to know everything about you. You spent time in jail as a teenager, right?
Yes.
You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah,
It wasn't just an overnight thing, right?
no, it was actually from the age of 12 till I was 17, with no breaks in between. It was, I went in at 12 and I got out when I was 17. I pretty much had a pretty dysfunctional life growing up. And without going into a lot of details, at 12 years old, I took a life. And so I was sentenced to juvenile life.
Wow.
And which at the time was 5 years.
Well, thank God you were a juvenile. You
Yes.
could have been in prison for years.
Yes.
Now, did that experience teach you anything? Did you learn anything by it? Or?
No, it actually brought me deeper. Once I got out, all my friends were already partying, they were already into drugs. And so that's who accepted me. And so that's where I went, was right into the partying.
Oh, wow. Okay. Steve, tell us about the one night stand concert that you did with Dale Earnhardt.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., that was in 2004. And I was in the band Fatini, and I was playing drums. And it was just incredible. It was at the Orange Show Pavilion in San Bernardino, California. The place was standing room only. And
wow, that's
one thing about that
big
night,
place.
yes, one thing that sticks out to me the most about that night was not Dale Earnhardt Jr. It was the fact that I had seen Stryper play back in 1987, and I told myself, one of these days I'm going to play that stage.
Wow, and you did.
17 years later, I'm in the same dressing room that they used, right? You know, looking at all the stuff, the couches they sat on, and went backstage and got to play the same stage as Stryper, so I was just blown away by that.
Wow.
So that's what really sticks out the most. Plus, we took a picture with Dale Earnhardt Jr., and it was made into a poster. It was played on the internet, all over on satellite TV, and that was a fun night. But actually playing the stage of Stryper was more fun for me. It stuck out the most for me.
And I want to ask you, where do you guys want to go with your music? This is something that I hadn't thought about asking until now, but I want to know the direction you want to go in.
Well, basically, we want to be able to bring healing to a battered world. We want to spread the news of Jesus Christ and His saving grace. We want to be able to reach as many people as we can through the music, and a one-on-one interaction with people, and try to get into places where people normally wouldn't go into church, try to reach those kind of people. So that's pretty much what we want to do. We want to go all over the world as much as possible with that message, and that's what we're all about.
You want to play secular places? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, anywhere we can.
Okay, that's a good deal. Well, now, Dave, I want to come back to you, and I want you to tell us just briefly about your background and what you were into with drugs and sex and alcohol and all of that.
Oh boy. Well, for me, it all kind of started around the time I was 17. I was hanging out with the quote-unquote stoner kids, and listening to the heavy metal, that kind of stuff, and it was a cool thing. I suppose I was introduced to marijuana, and I started smoking pot, and then I started partying a lot. By the time I was 19, I was drinking. I was an alcoholic. I became addicted to sex. I was just sleeping around with all kinds of girls, and things just got bad. It followed me all throughout most of my 20s, and finally, when I was 28, I gave it all up. I just got tired of that lifestyle, and I look back on it, and it's just, that's not me anymore. That person died a long time ago.
How old would you say you were when you found the Lord, or the Lord found you? How old were you?
Actually, that was towards the tail end of 2001, so I had just turned 28.
And how about you?
I was probably about 22, 23.
Somewhere in there. How about you, Bruce?
When I accepted,
When you found the Lord and accepted Him, yeah.
well, I was 11.
Okay.
But that was short-lived.
But did you backslide?
Oh yes, I backslid.
And
I got introduced. Well, when I was 8, I smoked my first cigarette, so I was kind of already introduced into that kind of thing already with cigarettes. And being 8 years old, that's back then even.
Were you getting them out of the gutter? Or
No, my dad smoked non-filter Pall Malls.
Yeah.
And he'd only smoke them down so far, and then he'd put them out. And then I would just grab those butts and smoke those butts until they were burning my fingers.
That's bad, Bruce.
Well, and then I had a friend also who wasn't too good of an influence, for me.
Yeah.
So, but at that time I got introduced to smoking weed fairly shortly after I came to the Lord, because I really didn't have a support system, when I first became a Christian. So I didn't really know what it meant to have a relationship. So it was very easy for me to gravitate to something else.
I understand, because I went through the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, so you had to get older and get a little bit more mature before you really understood how to live for the Lord
Right.
and all of that. How about
Right.
you, Steve? Fill us in a little bit.
Oh, I was born in a holy rolling Pentecostal home, going to church every day seemed like. And then I hit my 20s and went crazy. Just went off the deep end, got into drugs, got into alcohol, got into all that stuff. And finally the Lord really drew me back in 2005. And then he put me on the fast track. And by 2008, I was a worship pastor at a church in California, and just leading worship at different churches, and I did that for about 4 years, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So really, throughout my whole 20s was just a waste.
Yeah. How old were you when you found the Lord, or the Lord found you? However you want to say
He
it.
knocked me on my butt when I was 35 and said, "Have you had enough?" And I said, "Yes, Lord, here I am."
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know the feeling. I was 33 myself. So now, Bruce, tell us about your new release, BRUISED MACHINE. Tell us about the songs and how people can get it, and about your website and everything.
Well, BRUISED MACHINE was basically a name that we came up with, kind of symbolizing, a bruised, battered world. Here for the missing. The title is basically, that's what we're here for, the missing people in the kingdom, the people that have fallen away, the people that are out there struggling, who do not know who God is. So that's what we're here for, is those missing.
Where can people get this at?
They can purchase this at tapepublishing.com, or national release will be June 11th. I'm not sure when this is.
June 11th, 2013.
Yes.
Do you have a website where they will be able to order it, or can they at least contact you and request information?
Yes, they
on
can
the
go
website?
to facebook.com/bruised.machine, and you can contact us. We answer every post, and we're pretty active in that.
Okay, well, I want to thank the guys from BRUISED MACHINE for coming here to Tucson and being with us today. And you guys, if you want some good Christian music, pick up these guys' latest CD. God bless you guys.